Voice crying out in the wilderness, make the ways of the Lord straight, no hills in it. Level out the valleys, make plains, he's revealed the kid, prophesied by Isaiah, he's fulfilling it. Spirit of Elijah with the same clothes, killing it. Camel hair with the leather belt, no frills in it. What did you expect to see? Some kind of silkiness? How to read bit easily, he was built for this. More than a prophet, he's a man on a pilgrimage, the messenger. Written of in Malachi, spilling it. Repenting your sins, he can cleanse all your filthiness. There's a new era coming through, can you get with this? The kingdom of heaven's at hand. Repent, the kingdom of heaven's at hand. And switch, the kingdom of God is at hand. You dig, the kingdom of Christ is at hand, yo.
All right. What's going on, fam? So this is episode featuring Tay Lucero, one of my good friends, and myself. And Tay he's in a missiology class. So missiology is the study of missions, its importance, and its application to the church. So we're going to just talk through some of that stuff as he interviews me for his class. Yeah, hope you can glean a lot from this episode, just on our passion for missions and how it relates to the church today.
I'm still behind on Southside.
Behind? They just started back up, didn't they?
No, but they've been smashing it. 5 episodes behind.
Well, I just started too.
Semesters for me, bro. Like, I used to be
on
it 3 days early listening to them.
Yeah, because you were Patreon.
I still am.
What's that mean? What's that mean now that you're behind? You got stuff early.
Yeah.
So,
but I always go back to because there's like tiers to the Patreon. Anyway, the more you pay, so you can do I think the bottom tier is like a $5 tier, and you get the first thing you get is early access. That's like the bottom, and then you can get behind the scenes content. But what's cool about it is say I for 1 month wanted to pay the max. Yeah. Which gives me access to this stuff. I could do that at any time. So if there's bonus stuff from 4 years ago that I've never watched, at any point, if I'm like, you don't want to check this out, I got time, pay $40 or whatever, and I can check it out and then go back to it. But honestly, man, I like supporting them. I'm obviously a believer in the product of what they do. But
you don't feel like you're being unfair to everybody else that you would like?
But here's the thing, though. Wait, what?
Like there's people that you probably hadn't even heard about.
Yeah.
That you like, that you would like, but you're not.
I just haven't exposed myself.
Because you've been
thinking about
locked in on them.
With movies all the time. Like all the things. Okay, they call that, this is way off subject. They call it opportunity cost. I just learned about this. What was I? Reading the book, bro. Are you recording on this?
Yeah.
Reading the book.
Good stuff.
I started it right before I started this class. So I was like, okay, I got a little bit of free time, whatever. Called The Anxious Generation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's called. Really good. Basically talking about how the combination of parents overprotecting their children in the real world and underprotection in the virtual world has caused, like Gen Z, for example, this explosion of mental health issues. Anyway, all that said, one of the points in that he was talking about was it's really good. And it just came out 2024, so all the studies are solid. One of the things he talked about was opportunity cost. And they talk about it in finance too. Really just when you look at budgeting or a business, something you can spend, for example, I don't know, $100 on a bike or whatever. Say a new bike, but then you ask, which this is a good choice. But essentially, when you buy something or pay for something, it's costing you more than money. We talked about this before too, but also it could be a plus. If you buy this bike, this will cost you money, but what are you getting in return? Maybe some good health, maybe some community because you're going to join a group. But also, are you going to spend less time with your family or things like that? Yeah. Basically, opportunity cost is okay, what, because I'm giving myself to this in the book, being on my phone or social media, what am I missing out on? Yeah. I could be getting real interactions with other people, working out, other things like that. I don't even know how we got on that topic. Anyway,
what's the name of the book?
The Anxiety Generation.
The Anxiety Generation.
Is that right? I hope I ain't got that wrong.
Bro.
The Anxious Generation.
The Anxious Generation.
Hey, I Fledged by Jonathan Haidt. He ain't paying me, but I endorse it. I think it's really good, especially as we're ministering to this generation that's becoming adults. which I think I'm at the top of Gen Z, but it's really good. It's probably a good listen too.
Yeah,
I don't.
Are you implying I won't read it?
I'm just implying that you are probably more likely to listen to it, and maybe
I'm gonna listen to it.
Maybe he reads his own book in the audio version, which makes it 10 times better. Anyway, this is our second mentor meeting. The first one was from our Theology 1 class. Yeah, and it seemed like people really enjoyed that. So it was deep. Well, like Tanya came up. She came up to us one time. We were just walking around. She was like, "Hey, I really liked that episode." And then Jerm, I think Jerm said he enjoyed some of that.
I know. So the rest of my episode's been trash.
No. I only say that to say I'm excited to quiz you, to hear your thoughts and your wisdom. You can't give any wrong answer to this.
You can give some answer that's not deep enough
to be back on the show.
Yeah.
On the Willie Preach as we discuss missions, missiology. I remember when you told me, like, you took this class years ago now. And I remember you being like, I'm in missiology. And at first it sounds like...
What is that?
Yeah, it sounds like mystics. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. But it's the study of missions.
Yeah.
Or the mission, depending on how you want to get with your terms. So do you want to do or say anything before I dive into these questions? This is your show, but...
No. Good. Nice shirt.
Thank you. Thanks for making space for me.
What did it even say?
Day. This one says, it's a miracle we can breathe on the front. And I think the back says, I don't know what.
Breathe. Yeah.
What's the back say? I'm going to go ahead.
Everything that has breath, praise the Lord. Is that the praise?
I don't think so. This is a Maverick City shirt. Somebody actually got it as a gift for my wife, and she couldn't fit it. So,
don't you love that, bro?
She gifted it to me.
Don't you love that?
And what's cool is, like, when I got this a few years ago, but now this vintage look is really in. The kids like that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think this looks vintage?
Vintage?
This looks kind of.
I see. Yeah. I like the font.
Yeah.
It's different to me.
Yeah, I think it's Maverick City.
It's low too. Look how.
That is different. That's different for sure. Usually that stuff is kind of higher.
But anyway, that's one of the episodes I did was I'm trying to get to is like fashion, not high fashion obviously, but just like why hats, and what hat and why t-shirts and what.
You should, man. And you should, when you do that, you should address that passage. Is it 1st or 2nd Timothy? Or maybe it's 1 Corinthians. About wearing head coverings.
Oh God.
All right, this is my first question.
Okay.
You have it in front of you. Mm-hmm. We got this in 3 sections. All these questions are related to missions, study of missions, mission of God. And the first topic we'll talk about is theological foundations of missions. Yeah, Professor Spencer, which is interesting. My class professor is not the professor that gives the lectures.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind that, but there's been an emphasis on that. Even missions. One of the phrases that he said that at first it kind of took me off. It sounded like it ticked me off. That took me off guard. I never thought about it. He was like, the mission of God is the overarching theme of the whole Bible, the entire Bible. And at first I was like, I think before I would have heard him say that and explain it, I would have initially said redemption. Redemption is that God, man messed it up. God's gonna make it right. He did it through Jesus. Yeah. The church is proclaiming that.
I like that.
But take a further step back. That's God's mission.
Exactly.
And then he gives that to the church to proclaim that same mission.
How you look at it.
Yeah. If you take one step and then take another step back. So, I can't. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I guess we'll start here. And then you comment on that if you want to, too. How would you define the Missio Dei, the mission of God, and the church's role in it? I'm going to be taking notes. So
the mission of God. So I think ultimately it kind of comes down to, Genesis, God's overall plan for creation, the fall of man, and then, as we just talked about, the redemption of man. God tells man to make his glory known in all of creation. So man has a mission, exactly. And then, as we just talked about, the redemption of man. God tells man to make his glory known in all of creation. So man has a mission. 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 So man has already. You know what I'm saying? And it really hadn't changed, other than the fact that man can't even accomplish that mission at this point because of the fall. So I think that's God's overall mission. To find his mission would be to make his glory known to everything, in everything, every place, right, that he's created. And I think what's really crazy is that the Bible speaks of God's glory being evident throughout all creation. Mm. So man has had a responsibility to stir it up, to tend it, to magnify God through all creation. But the very thing that had the ability to do that failed, and now God is having to plant himself in man to make him be able to do anything, right, that he's supposed to be able to do, right, in the first place. So yeah. That's God's mission. And I think it goes back to the idea we were talking about, is redemption. So God has to redeem man before man can even partake in his purpose. Yeah. So in the church's role, the church in that, that's God's active hand redeeming man. Right. So we see that happen within the church, that is the church, the body of Christ. And then from that point, now man can now partake in God's mission, in his overall purpose, right, for creation, in creation, I guess. So yeah. Good. When you were talking, it reminded me of early on we were talking about, in a couple of our textbooks address this idea, and I completely agree that God's mission is to bring glory to himself. And immediately someone could say, wow, that sounds really selfish. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a self-seeking God. Like, how is he right in doing that and that being his mission? Mm-hmm. What would you say, to somebody who's maybe just either skeptical or kind of confused, or even just a Christian, like, wanting clarity on that? Like, how is God right in seeking his own glory? Well, my first thought is, like, what do you know, you dirty, filthy sinner? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, part of God getting his glory is to redeem you back to an understanding of your purpose and what is dirt and what does it mean for God to breathe into dirt and make mankind. So in the fall, I think humanity has lost an intelligence, I guess, about God. So when we approach God and we say, God, that's selfish of you. We don't have any kind of insight into what it's like to be holy and what it's like to be pure and true and all the things that God is. We only have this perspective. If I was seeking glory, I would be selfish because I'm fallen. Right. But God is perfect and he's complete within himself. So, selfishness, like, what is that? Right. God, I think it's a way that we can look back at God and say, this is how I understand what's going on. You want glory, the only thing, you're the only absolute thing, so there is nothing else, and you want it for yourself. So that must mean you're selfish. But you're saying that when we do that, we're really projecting our own. We're projecting, our own fallenness into the character of God, or onto the character of God. Yeah. So yeah, like, and simply put, I would say there was nothing before God. Right. So when he creates something, whatever he creates glorifies him, and he deserves it. Right there. Yeah. So yeah, dirty, filthy sinner. How do you see the Great Commission and the Great Commandment working together and shaping the church's mission? Would you branch off that too? One, is the church's mission God's mission? Is that question? Should it be? You can answer that how you want to. And then, how do you see the Great Commission? So Jesus, go make disciples of all nations, and the Great Commandment, which we can define as Jesus saying to love the Lord your God with all of who you are and your neighbor yourself. Those two working together and shaping the church's mission. My gosh. Like, I don't know. God, if God's mission is to bring glory to himself, we are called out of sin and depravity to be his bride, to be renewed in our mind, imitators of Christ. Then that changes everything for us. And that means that if we are the church, we have to align with God's plan, God's great command, right? And love your God with all your heart is God's great command. And then love your neighbor as yourself is the sacrificial nature of God as it completes God's will. If that makes sense. I was praying the other day. I was journaling, and what I do in my journals, I try to challenge myself to take 3 verses right now. It used to be 2, but 3 verses, and combine them together to make an insightful thought.
3 different verses.
3 different verses from different places.
Books. Wow.
Try to make an insightful thought. Yeah. Sometimes it really works out. Sometimes it's just like, you know. I forget the verses, but my conclusion was, now that you've redeemed me and you call me yours and you give me all the gifts, how do I give anything back to you? My natural inclination is I want to return something back to you, but I have nothing to give. And he answered my prayer in the verse. It's Matthew, I forget what chapter it is, but basically he says, what you've done unto the least of these, you've done to me. And I feel like God was answering the prayer there. That if you want to give me something, imitate me. Mm-hmm. Have a sacrificial love. Have an eye on the poor and the needy. Be my hand in creation, in redemption, even as we can. So anyway, that's how I think that's how the church aligns with God's Great Commission.
Put that down.
And that even goes to some church discipline.
Dang, why you going there?
Oh.
No, that's good. That's been on my mind randomly, but go ahead.
Yeah, just like if we're not doing missions, then we're not being the church.
Man, let's keep on doing another section, bro.
Oh.
God. No, it's good. You just naturally going there. You're right, bro. Let me see. No, don't apologize for that.
Delete that.
That's good. No, don't. You're naturally going there. I was just making sure I do. I do have that. Do you want to go ahead? If it's on your mind, you can go ahead and say what you're gonna say, man.
Well, I didn't have much to say. Just that we in our culture we can get tied up in knowing more and more about God, and really becoming less and less ignorant of God, because we don't want to work beside Him. We want Him to work through us in some way, but we don't want to work beside Him.
Yeah. You said less ignorant. You mean more?
Yeah, more ignorant.
Okay.
About God. Yeah, more ignorant about God.
Yeah, because we're not doing it.
Because we're not working with Him. We're not letting Him show us how He does things. I'm all for having some office hours. I think that's very important. But I've learned a lot from hanging out with our friend who's agnostic, and just listening to what he has to say, and then answering his questions and trying my best to lead him to the cross. And a lot of people have joined us just because we've been out in the public. Mm-hmm. And these questions are for everybody to hear. And so people have joined in, Christians, and I had no non-Christians yet, but hopefully Christians of different denominations are joining together to minister to this one brother in conversation.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
And I'm just like, I would have never seen that if I was just working on my sermon,
right.
Or even like we're in seminary, working on my schoolwork and not getting in the mission field.
You know what's cool though too? You are right on that. This class and another class, a couple of classes have assignments that are that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, like my evangelism class, I had to share the gospel at least once a week.
That was it?
Let me go and move through this. I'm talking about global and local mission strategy.
Okay.
So I got some of your thoughts on theology and for missions, these foundational missions. I'm gonna pick and choose here. I want to make sure I want to ask the questions that I really want to hear your thoughts on. We'll just start with the first one. Yeah, you can share it from experience because I know you've taken one out of the country mission trip. You went to Panama about a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can speak from this either from experience or even like how you would think through this, as a pastor just going forward in your ministry. How would you balance local outreach, so local, certainly in state, probably more so in community, in global missions, in church planning. So you can either share that from like your personal take or how you think the church should balance both of those. Or is the church called to both of those?
Yeah. Definitely. I think the church is definitely called to both of those. In my life and my line of ministry, it kind of just works out easily to be prepping others all the time to go on missions. So it kind of works out like, for student ministry, you prep students and train students to evangelize within their church. Just meet people and talk, share your testimony, and then you branch them out to their school, which is their community. Then you branch them out to neighboring communities. Then you branch them out to, let's go somewhere out of state. Then you branch them out to global.
Yeah.
Or some, out of the country. In each one of those phases, you will lose more and more people. I feel like it's realistic to think that like your same little core group that will share it at church, they might not. You find them at school in the cafeteria, they won't share it all.
Yeah.
And then if hey, we're gonna go on a mission trip to Panama. Oh, my mom, football won't let me do that. So you'll lose some. But I think the sting of I really want you to go on this. I really want you to be about this, and you're just not there yet because it's a sacrifice for everybody. That sting, I think, helps people understand where they're at in their relationship and their faith.
You're saying the sting when they say they can't go.
When they say they can't, will they realize that they're putting something over this grand opportunity to work alongside Jesus and be uncomfortable? I think most people, even adults, they're not even going that far in their mind of like, that's my end goal. Like, if I can work my job so that I can save up some money so that I can go on a mission trip, or work up, and I can save up my time so I can eventually plan to go on this mission trip.
Right.
Because that's a part of my faith as a Christian.
Right.
That's what in our church, that's a part of our church commitment.
Yeah.
Church commitment. This specific church is that we will go mission. That would be missional.
Yeah.
So, but people, we kind of get lazy on that, and we just drop it to the side. That's how it plays out in my life. It's just like, if I wasn't a minister, I wonder how much of a challenge it would be for me to
go.
Okay. Yeah.
Because so like we were talking on the phone a while ago that there is, you can define terms of like what is a missionary versus just an evangelist. So like you're saying if you weren't in full-time ministry in this way, would you feel the conviction and call to go to places where the gospel is not? Because you can still do ministry and evangelize here, but you're talking about
like
going. Yeah.
And that's one of the questions I remember when I took the class. There was a question that was just that, like, the church deciding whether it's important for us to go when there's already people there.
Yeah.
There's already people there on the ground there. Right. I could just send my money.
Right.
In fact, wouldn't that be better? Because I'll have people I mentioned to here. So I just send my money over there and da-da-da. And so that was one of the questions, like, is missions important? Is it important enough to do? And it's like, I think, going back to my original question for myself, is like, if I wasn't in ministry, would I still feel so passionately called to going overseas or wherever?
Awesome. So when you were talking about, you feel like it is important. I just got done with my Baptist history class. That's why it's on my mind. And for churches, big or small, one, to have understanding and a conviction that the church should be taking part in missions, sending either missionary with resources to places where people don't get the gospel, but that they can take part in that, even if they're not the ones going. You know what I'm saying? That's like the cooperative program, for example, is really, really cool. the Southern Baptist Convention, how, church, big or small, like name the scale, can take part in global missions in that way. So yeah, I just thought that was really cool. So I was going to ask you, what factors do you, when you partner with missionaries or mission organizations? So I know we went on a mission, a smaller trip together. But you've done things. So like, what are some of the things you're thinking about whenever you're thinking about either partnering with a place that's already there, maybe they got an organization going on? Yeah.
Probably pretty much like what are the resources going to? And do I feel like it's not do I agree? What's the word? So we have resources, we have time. That's our biggest resource. We have energy, like the people, bodies, and we have like finances. And I'm looking at another church or whoever's on the ground, and I'm thinking, is my time best for this? Yeah. For you, are my giftings best? If I give you a whole bunch of money, is that good for what you're doing? Or do you need, books and not money, or food and not money? So I think that's kind of really what you look at. I mean, I think the church, it's crazy if the church doesn't want to hold hands with the church.
Right.
So how do I best hold your hand? How do I best help you up?
That's a good point, bro. Because one of the things that my class does regularly, we have discussions, and every there's a case study. Just could you do this? It's like they give you this scenario.
Yeah.
You
write about it.
Yeah, every week, and then you're sharing your thoughts, and then you reply to other people.
Oh my gosh, I remember one of them.
Many of them are complicated.
Yeah,
and they're like really good. For example, there was this one where you're like kind of a younger missionary. You have a veteran mission,
and he messing up
contact. Well, not no, no, no. There are multiple, but this one might be more applicable to what you're talking about. It's like,
Hi, Daddy.
Hey.
Ella made this.
What?
Fruit salad.
What's up, girl?
Who made that?
Ella.
Fruit salad? You made this?
My brother helped me, Lucas.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Why is it for me?
Let me see that. What is that?
It's for the whole family.
For the whole family.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm good right now. Why do you keep making that face?
I want you to take it.
Go put it in the kitchen.
I like your braids, Jazz.
Frizzy.
You're welcome, girl. That's
Close the door.
I'm just proud of her for sticking them out that long. Here.
Got me some.
Did not look good.
Got me some fruit salad. And Ella made it. What you need? Anybody help you?
Anyway, bro, so the scenario is let me get this right. Okay. So you're on the field, you're new into this area, you have a partner in contact there who's very familiar with the area, and a man, that you've been ministering to or whatever, he's a Christian, approaches you, and the context that you're in is very like a poverty. The land, folks have a lot of money. It's kind of, things are hard and scarce. And you, because of, just the situation, like, drive a car with air conditioning. So you're luxury in this context. So this man, we're ministering to you, comes up to you like, hey, my wife needs this surgery. Like, she's going to die. If not, can you give me money to do it? And the prompt, just kind of shares like, basically what would you do? But keeping in mind that you very well could become like the town, money plug, because all the other people are going to start coming to you. So how do you handle this situation? All that to say, because it's not really as simple as just give him money from your own, right? Because like what you said, like what is best, you know what I'm saying, for them. Like the phrase is like, when helping hurts. I'm not saying like, don't help. I responded in a way I was like, maybe our mission team has an answer, that doesn't create this weird dynamic between you and everybody else. Right. But to your point, like just being super intentional. That was money, but you can, put that with anything else. Like, where am I going to be a benefit? And not in a selfish way, but like, how am I able to bless this effort here, this team? So yeah. You
don't want to go in and hurt because you're trying to.
Because even when we went to Fort Worth, they told us from the jump.
Yeah, don't give
money, right? Because we understand the context. Like the people that were there knew them. Yeah. The people that were, folks that were ministering to. So Anyway, that's good. I got that down here. I want to ask you this one, then we'll move on to the last section. What role do you believe short-term mission trips play in the broader mission of the church? So, like, you know, you taking off for a week.
I just talked about a while ago. Just because people ask the question, why would I take off from my little job? I'm gonna go, you know, to South America, and for what? Right. A couple weeks, I'm gonna build a hut. Yeah. And then I'm gonna go on and what? And I think that's legit, like, because people don't want to waste their time, that type of thing. So to answer the question, short-term mission trips are really good for, I think, practically encouraging people who are on the ground. As soon as you,
good for those who are already
there. I know when we lived in Utah, we would do seasonally. We would do a G3 camp, which is a basketball camp, and we would do a BBS, and we'd have mission teams come in for a week to help us with those things. And it was like we could, as a church, we could have done it ourselves. They had way more energy. We've been in the community. They have excitement about what they're doing that we just couldn't. Like, we couldn't get there because we've been there. When they celebrated small victories, no, we're like, man, we've been waiting for this person to get saved forever. And they had a conversation with the person. They're just like, man, yeah, we had a conversation with the LDS, you know. So it's like, and it was very encouraging to us. And then, I mean, just the power of prayer that you're being prayed over, and that type of thing. And you see other Christians sometimes in a place where you know, Christianity is not, you know, the norm. So that's the practical thing. And who knows spiritually what God does.
That's true.
With your little 2 days you're on the mission field.
That's true, man. I like what you said about them being an encouragement to those who are there, you know, doing it. That is basically their life, like the ones that are missionaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's you. Again, I just think about the group at Fort Worth. You know, for us, we took a group of students and we're there doing something they've never done before. You know? And I was constantly, man, like, these people who are, you know, on staff or volunteer do this all the time. Like, 7 days a week. Like, they have a church service every day, twice on Sundays. So I'm just thinking, I never felt like, I don't know about you, but I never felt like
they were just going through the motions.
No,
I know.
And I just wanted, I guess I think about me in their place. And, you know, we have a group of fresh people come in and just, you know, if they're on fire for the Lord and, like, you know, sharing the gospel for the first time and, you know, just celebrating those small victories, how that could be just the boost to get you through, you know, through the next season. All right, on the move. Well, I think this section might be where you enjoy most, so kind of flourish, because we started discussing some of these things already. So, church and missional living. How does your church, and you could even take that to think through those you're discipling to. So you want to think about church here at Missiology, or just, you know, your particular ministry or those you disciple. But in that, how do you seek to develop a missional culture even among, you know, the members of this church or those who you're discipling? Or how would you like to see it be done, a culture of missions? Yeah.
I think, you know, leading by example. If you can have a pastor that demonstrates the importance of living a life that is God and missions, reaching the lost is the first importance. You raise your family up. The pastor's family is missional. I tried to do this with my daughters, and my wife is already. She basically met me, and I was not that, and she was all of that.
But she's a result of what you're talking about, though.
Yeah. It was demonstrated in her family.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anyway, I think training up your family, training up your church to just be like, look, I know you got a job, but your job is to pour into the kingdom. That's why you go to work every day. That's why you know, pull yourself out of bed.
Do you feel like the lack of, like, so what you just said, if somebody, you know, doesn't see them, you know, their job working at Starbucks or, you know, being an RN or whatever, as, you know, them having a missional role in that, you feel like if somebody doesn't understand that, you think, is it more, you know, is that the church? Has the church, you think, is that a result, like, the church missing that, you know, in preaching and just in discipleship? Or do you feel like, you know, it's mostly the, you know, the members just, you know, a lack of want? Or you think it's a mix of both?
Oh, man. I'm gonna just say it's church.
Yeah.
And in the sense of discipleship. Because a lot of times when people don't understand where they stand in the kingdom is because someone hadn't told them. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm a Christian. Now what?
Right.
And that's because they didn't disciple you to the point of being Christian,
right.
and then disciple you to the point of, you know, you carrying out your duties, I guess, or whatever, as a child of God. So that's really on discipleship.
Yeah.
It falls down to that. I think, you know, our relationship, you know, I'm gonna just say this. So when I met you, you wanted to be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to go to you want to go to college and play football.
Right.
And I'm not bragging on me and them like that, but our relationship was built.
Go ahead, I will.
Our relationship was built on. At first, it was just like, hey, let's just do Christianity together.
Right.
Carry your Bible around, you know. See what kind of conversations you have. You know, that pretty much made every place you went a mission field. Just because you have the Bible in your hand, and God gives you the word to say and the heart to actually speak it to people, that you don't shy away from conversations. And now you're starting to see how it's not the Bible in your hand, it's the person, the man of God in these spaces that makes this a mission field.
Right.
You know? So anyway, I think just training people up in that mindset that you go to work, go to school, wherever you go. Your purpose is to glorify the Lord, and one way you do that is to get lost people saved. You know, so
do you? And I was reading in one of our, I don't know if it was a textbook or maybe an article they had us read. It was talking about kind of two perspectives on mission, or at least how to go about doing them, and they shared like modeling missions after Jesus. Simply, but really more to your point, discipleship. You know, Jesus literally took the disciples around with him, and they spent time with him doing what he did, and that's how Jesus discipled. But they contrasted Jesus with Paul, because there are unique roles. Like Christ's primary mission was to die on the cross, to bring about redemption. That's where he was going. And constantly say, "Now this is not the time." But I guess I'm going down.
It's okay.
That's all right. So, I guess my question for you is: would you see Jesus as
the best model?
Yeah.
How dare I say otherwise?
Right.
But opposed to say Paul, and Jesus was a savior.
Right.
And like you said, he was going to the cross. Paul was a missionary after the Savior.
Yeah, sure.
So they did have different things. I mean, Paul was just like, I'm gonna go encourage the churches and anybody I see along the way. If I go to prison, I'm gonna share the gospel with them. Mm-hmm. Maybe God save them. maybe I'll reach one. Be all things. What do you say? Yeah. So he had a definitely different approach. I mean, Jesus was like, I'm going to the cross. Come on, guys. I'm gonna show you how to do this while I'm here. My main mission is to save you over there.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. But I don't think it's wrong. In context, even back to your point about what you just said about Paul. Like Paul's constantly, I think he ends Romans by kind of giving them his plan. Like I plan on going to this place, and then by God's grace, I'll make it to you. Whatever. Yeah. But even back to the short term, mission trip. You could, in a lot of ways, you could consider that like Paul, as he was dropping in, these other places, to be encouraged and to encourage, to get resources to move on. That, it could be considered a short-term mission trip. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And Paul, he had disciples too. He made disciples. He had disciples. People he discipled. Timothy. But even that was different. He discipled Timothy. He brought him along and then was like, stay here. Timothy was a pastor. A shepherd. Paul was a missionary. Paul was a missionary.
That's right. So that comes back to mind more about Paul's approach. So Paul really, which the IMB, I believe, has a very similar approach. Go, either evangelize, share the gospel, either partner with a church that's already there, help cultivate, or begin to plant. But then once they get to a particular time where leadership grows organically, they move.
Yeah.
They don't, and same with Paul. Paul didn't see himself as a pastor. Of course he was a spiritual leader.
Somebody who's listening, they might be like, well, he did pastor I think he pastored short term. He pastored for the growth of the church, and then he moved.
Right.
That's a missionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, like Jesus, man, that's so interesting. I need to think.
I think I need to ponder that too, boy.
I need to think about that. But Jesus he was a shepherd, the great shepherd. He built the church, you know, but he's not, but we can't, he is a great model.
For all things.
For all things.
Yeah.
But like, how we go about moving around in mission.
I think because Jesus, what he accomplished in his life, death, and resurrection, gives us the gives us the context for our mission.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You know,
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So the mission of God, to bring glory to himself, to do that through redeeming humanity, and that looks different in every stage of the mission, if you will. Like the prophets, you know, the purpose of Israel, the Messiah coming, the Messiah dying, resurrecting, and then him giving the Great Commission, and the church has its role. I don't think I think it sounds strange to be like, you know, can't really, you know, model Jesus in every aspect.
You know what? That's good, because the context of Jesus was he came to Israel. He came to the people of Israel, and that was his area. That's where he done his missions, and he, you know, went to the cross, and then he told us to go to the whole world, and it gives us context. It gives us a reason to go.
Right.
So I think that's the missing link there. But that's why it's so different. That's funny.
I know. This verse came to mind. I'll put it up real quick. But Jesus goes into the earth and dies, remains alone. But if it bears much fruit, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. This is John 12. I was trying to put the greater context just to make sure I don't rip it out of context. But I believe that he's talking about he's talking about his own death. Then, you know, John 12 is when all of John shrinks, like we get really close to crucifixion. But yeah, that's essentially what he's talking about. You know, Jesus, we're getting way off, but you know, Jesus' purpose here really wasn't to preach to the whole world. He did through his word, right? Like as he's walking through the world, he even says that, like, I've come to the lost sheep of Israel. And his mission was to, over and over, the hour has come. The mission was to die upon the cross and to resurrect. And that, as he says here, bears much, much more fruit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. As we get the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit empowers the mission. Anyway, that's great, bro. Hopefully we didn't say anything that was heretical.
No.
Listen to him be like, that's not right.
You're not even discussing theology if you don't sometimes say a little bit.
If you don't hesitate before you talk, it's like you haven't got deep enough. I want to ask you just a few more.
Okay.
Then I will let you go. Let me just. I want to be selective here. Maybe I'll ask this. Yeah. Can you share a formative experience from your ministry that has changed your understanding of God's mission, or, you know, an experience on a mission trip that's just been, you know, really impactful for you, either in your personal devotion or in your approach to missions? Let me
take the Beautiful Feet. We went there together. So we went to Texas. Long story short, I can pretty much share. I'm comfortable sharing with everybody. I've been rejected before, all the things. Never been spit on the whole thing, but I've been rejected, and it's okay. I'm okay.
I see the whole thing.
You seen it? Yeah. Cringy, bro. But
that's a crown. That's a jewel in your crown, bro.
I struggled before Beautiful Feet, and I need to go practice again, but I was getting better with sharing with homeless people. It just felt like I never know what to say to them. I've never been homeless. I felt like this is just totally irrational, but I felt like I couldn't connect with them, that they would see me they wouldn't hear me because they couldn't see me correctly, right, because they thought I wasn't seeing them correctly, type thing, right? Yeah. And then I never knew if they were like on drugs. Are they gonna actually hear what I'm saying, understand?
Yeah.
Just a lot of unknowns, right. And I don't really know why I was always so hesitant. But after that mission trip, that changed my perspective. That changed my.
How so? Like,
I just realized,
like when you got in there, and
I realized a lot of them. I realized what I already knew. They're just people, and they're not all homeless because of drugs. They're not always high. You know, they're not always drunk. They're just people, and I knew that, but I think I needed to experience that. So that really helped me there.
You know, really, that's a a good example of people that are homeless. You do feel this barrier naturally. I mean, I felt it too. Like, I had many conversations, and Some folks were clearly on drugs, but we just, apart from the Holy Spirit just coming and doing something crazy, like we just wasn't much of a conversation there. But then others, I felt convicted for expecting less of them, you know what I mean, in conversation. Mm-hmm. But I even feel like in my life, and maybe other folks can relate, man, like, say sharing with your physician, for example.
Yeah.
Like, this, some may feel that same thing. Like, I don't see them, maybe you wouldn't say this, but I don't see them as just a person. Like, they have a level of authority in my life. I'm constantly hearing from them. They're always to me, or there's a level of education of like this, professionalness that we always have as I see them once a year or whatever. But I say that to say, I feel like what you just shared can hit people pretty much anywhere. Like, it doesn't have to look as extravagant as, even a mission trip, like a boss too. These can be strange police officers, strange dynamics.
Man, that is deep. That's deep.
But all that, to your point, is once you experienced it, and there's really too, man, there's something about the gospel that, and it's what it does. It brings us all on the same level. But we're all sinners. That's essential to the gospel. But also, it's for everybody. We all need Christ. But there's just something like, I've experienced it, whenever if it's as awkward as it is, inject the gospel into some of those situations, it just, like, all that drops.
And that was important. I better write that down. Now, what'd you say now?
As you watch your person, depending on, I've mentioned the doctor, how educated they are, how much you do or don't know them, they have to wrestle with who's Jesus. Yeah. And that's just flat across the board, no matter where they are. So that's been encouraging to me. And hearing you share that just reminded me of that. Because, I feel that, man. Like, I see my doctor all the time. Like, I appreciate my doctors and stuff like that. But there's just, this weird barrier that I let come up in situations like that. The gospel does it.
I feel like when I'm in those places where, like, the authority is kind of the barrier, or their knowledge, I try to just say, like, I want to gift you. You've been gifting me with your wisdom, with your knowledge, with your whatever, your profession. I need you. Can I gift you with something? And can I encourage you? That's what it is. Can I encourage you? And what you say may or may not encourage them when you share the gospel. But I try. I'm trying to return something. I think this is of great value. What you just gave me is of great value. I think this is a greater value even here. The other day I was at the coffee shop, and I was talking to this guy about his bag. Really, I was working up to share the gospel with him, but we was kind of, celebrating bags. He had a canvas bag. I really liked it. He told me how much it cost. I was like, I don't like it no more. But really cool. The girl walks up, and I was like, oh, is this your wife? And he was like, my coworker. I was like, cool. He was like, but she is about to get, she is married. She's been married for like a short amount of time. And I was like, congratulations. She's like, yeah, thank you. And I just felt like, as I want to share the gospel with him, I was like, this is better. This is better. You just got married. I want to bless you. And that's why I said, can I encourage you? She was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, I want to encourage you in the Lord. Like, so another step. Right. And she was like, okay. And I could tell they both kind of looked at each other. I was like, you guys go to church or anything? And, what do you think about Jesus? And she's Catholic and he or something. Yeah. And so they both really didn't want to hear what I had to say. I could already tell.
You can feel that, yeah.
But I was like, I want to just encourage you guys. I was like, you just got married. I've been married for 10 years. And this is how I feel like marriage works. Because people are getting divorced out here left and right. So I was like, you take whatever you want from this and leave the rest. Right. But I want to encourage you this. I said, I keep Jesus at the center of my marriage. And I was like, do you know what that means? And she was like, you and your wife agree on the same religion. Right. And I was like, no. I was like, that's not what I mean. What I mean is I put God first. I love God first. Then I love my wife. Then I love my children. God teaching me how to love my wife. And she was like, huh. And I was like, you probably thinking you love your children first when you have children. You have your husband first, and then you have children. Your children first, then your husband, then whatever religion y'all got. And she was like, yeah. I was like, well, this is what's going to help your marriage. Love God first. Love your husband second. Then love your children. I think she received that. I didn't have time to just explain them. I was like, that's what we do. We're 10 years strong. Whatever you want to say about that. But I take situations like that. They seem like they're educated people, had suits on, had towels and stuff. And I just like, man, let me just encourage you. So anyway.
No, I like that, man. You feel like it helps just kind of, I guess, I don't know, lessen potential, if there is that, for them as they receive that, you're like, let me encourage you with something.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, can you discern that? Like folks like,
yeah.
It just makes it smoother.
Well, I think it does.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving them flowers, saying, here, this is the gift I'm giving you, and you can take it apart if you want. The whole thing is what's good about it, but you can take it apart, and you can just say, hey, a guy in the coffee shop told me that he blessed my marriage today.
Yeah, man.
Or you can take the gospel, the whole thing, the flowers and the chocolate. But anyway, awesome, I think it does lessen the blow a little bit just to get an option. But yeah,
that's good. And here's my last question. It really goes to what you're already talking about. But I want to ask you, how do you personally stay focused or missionally focused in seasons when church life or even your personal life becomes really inwardly focused? So focus, good things like you mentioned your wife, you got family changes or kids, playing sports, stuff like that, or church, if you're just really got a lot of things going. Yeah. So how do you personally stay missionally focused?
What's up, peeps? Just want to apologize for my battery dying in the middle of me and Tay's discussion there. But he asked a question at the very end. He said, how do you personally stay missionally focused in the seasons when church life becomes inwardly focused? And I want to just take some time to just answer that really quick before we wrap up our episode here. Again, I apologize for the battery, my phone dying, but this actually happens a lot. So anyway, just bear with me. My answer to that question, just how do I stay missionally focused, because life really can easily become inwardly focused, even in the life of ministry as far as the church ministry. But I focus on discipleship. I think it's a safe area that will keep all of the things, keep the soil plowed, if you will, in the life of the Christian, in the life of the minister. If he is focusing on discipleship, he will be training people to do the things of the church, that is basically the doctrine of the church and the mission of the church, such as go on missions. If you're training someone to do these things in season and out of season and all the seasons, then you're also kind of, in the same sense, training yourself as you hold fast to the things that you're teaching someone else. So discipleship really helps me stay outwardly focused, even in seasons where it's easy for me to be inwardly focused. And he had another question. The last question that I want to answer here was, what advice would you give to future ministry leaders about leading missionally in a local church context? And I would just say, keep the minds of your fellowship, people you're fellowshipping with, people you're leading, keep their minds stirred when it comes to new adventures to go on with Christ. I like to say adventures because I think that's just what it is. Looking for new ways to evangelize effectively. From person to person, you might not. They might not have the same giftings. They might not have the same evangelism preference. There are some who are great at inviting people to events. So you want to put on some outreach events or some events at the church that will draw people in, but you also are leaning into the giftings of those who are great inviters. They're inviting in spirit, and they need something to invite someone to, not just church on Sunday morning. Also, for those who are not so good at going out and talking to people in the street, or going on missions abroad, maybe they're physically incapable of doing that. They can work. They can work the hospitality gifts. They can serve in those roles of, as you find new ways to bring people into the church. You're also allowing people to serve in the way they can, in the way that God has given them in their season. And then obviously there's the training for apologetics and the evangelism, like going out, street evangelism. And I think there's even training that the church should do when it comes to partnering with others on the mission field or just in your community. Knowing your community well and your neighboring churches and what their stance is on different things, where you connect and where you can really flourish as you work together, and where you places in your theology or worship preference that you will clash. So these things are kind of ways that the local church can prepare future leaders to be missional minded, and just in their own context. So anyway, I hope this episode. I know this episode was helpful. If you listen to the whole thing, it's very long, but Tay is a very wise friend of mine, and is also in ministry. So we're both in the throes of working alongside Jesus, and we're both loving it, and we're both pursuing our education also at this time. So it's just, I don't know, it's always a blessing to hang out with Tay. I'll honor him because he's not here to honor me. But yeah, it's always a blessing to talk with him and to kind of wrestle with certain things. So anyway, bless him and bless his ministry that he's got going. And yeah, see you guys on the flip side on Will He Preach.